Super excited to be chatting all things growing your business without feeling like you're on social media every 5 seconds, as well
Mhm.
as embracing partnerships, collaborations, different ways to grow, different ways to approach strategy that feels super aligned for your vision and just how you want to live your life. And who better than to talk about this than with you, Ané? Welcome. So excited to have you here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this too. It's been a long time coming and yeah, it's we've been on the journey for a while now. So I feel like not only can we give personal kind of stories, but we can really just explain all of the ins and outs of how we've gotten here. Yeah.
I know. We've really got along super well since we first met because you are a business and project manager. So you've got all of that like amazing, like Earth Virgo
Yeah.
energy, which my Capricorn rising is like,
Yeah.
yes, you're speaking my language. But at the same
Yeah.
time, you call yourself like a business fairy as well. And you bring in the energetics and the spiritual aspect. And I'm curious, I
Yeah.
think that'd be a really great place for us to start before we get into the nitty gritty of not wanting to be on social media all the time and like, your 12th house placements and those kinds of things. But like, what
Mm.
kind of like, have you always been into like both of those things? Or did you kind of have a moment similar to me where you did a lot of like one and not the other and realize this is not going to work for me. Like I've actually never asked you that. I just realized that.
Yeah, I know, right? So actually spirituality has been since the day dot, right? For me, like since I was a kid, I was making potions as a girl, like, brought up like with God and have religion in my life. So I've always been spiritual, but it was very sacred to me. So when I started having my business, I was like, there's spirituality and then there's systems and strategy, and they are not friends. Like they are not going to be something that I incorporate in my business, lol, because it was just a very sacred time. Like it's just something that I do closed doors, not from a shame perspective, but just sacred. Like this is what you do on your own time. However, as I got into business stuff and really started to implement strategy and systems and building the infrastructure for businesses, I particularly work with women, and I noticed that, hang on, we're all spiritual beings, let's be honest. And I can do all of this business aspect stuff, but there's moments where we're not kind of incorporating both, and it's being a detriment with how I operate, with how they operate. And so it was just like slowly, naturally, I would get on a strategy call and, okay, do you want to pull some cards and see what plays out? And I'm just burning my Palo Santo in the background, like those little like things that you start to bring up, and it just went from one thing another. And then yeah, that's kind of how the two birthed. And then I'm like, ever since then, I'm like, hold on, that is actually one of the best ways that we can be fulfilled and live life, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And yeah, why not incorporate both? So that's kind of how my journey started, with putting both together.
That. And I think that's so manifesting generator as well. Like I think that I often
Yeah.
will reflect that back to my MG clients in particular and really look at the ways that we can bring those things together, because I think sometimes like it's only the MGs sometimes that can do things, like not that other
Right.
types are not amazing at bringing things together, but like we just naturally have this like tendency to have like all of this random experience and interest in all of these different topics. And I think that
Yeah.
traditional sort of business rules and business structure is like, who is your niche and who are you working with and what does this thing look like? And it can feel really overwhelming and like you're kind of being put into a box, which I know has been a little
Yes.
bit of your experience generally, but also around, particularly around visibility. So
Hmm.
I think we should start there. And I'd love to hear a little bit about how visibility has felt for you. I mean, that was a big sort of part of like you
Yeah.
stepping into CCBD and like a lot of the like, I still remember like the onboarding, and that
Yeah.
kind of thing of like, this has felt big for me and this is what I want to work on. So let's have a conversation
Yeah.
about that.
All right, let's go right into it. I'm all
Yeah.
about being super raw and vulnerable here, because I think there's a lot of people that struggle with this and they don't necessarily may want to admit to it. And that's so fine. I was there too. Now, I think there was two parts for me: being seen and then running a business on social media. The being seen took a minute for me to work on, having a business online, sharing things, possibly feeling cringed, possibly stuttering your words and it just not landing, like all of those like uncomfortable you know, feelings came up. And so leaning into my toolbox of like tapping and just visualization and just like anchoring my nervous system to being seen in whatever way, maybe being seen misunderstoodly, and like just being seen in general was like a big thing. But then I just kind of got over it. You know, when people tell you like they wake up and they're just like over their shit, like that's kind of how it was. It just generally, and I say like one day, it's been like 3 years of work, and so that was kind of like, okay, cool, we've worked on this. Like being seen is not that emotional charge anymore. The social media aspect, and like you're really one of the only mentors that really highlight this for me, was that what there's always been something that's been tricky for me. I'm not really one to go not vulnerable, to go what's the word when you go viral? I just saw it on my vision board, viral. So that
Thank you for the vision board.
I know, right? That was last year's vision board. So perfect. You know, yeah, just things like, it's just, I've tried the trendy videos, I tried the trendy audio, all the things, and it just doesn't click. And then working with you, you're like, no, because of your 12 house placements. And that's not someone that, it's not about being seen. It's just about the energy doesn't align there. Not to say that it never happens. Of course, it probably happens for others, but it was just a permission slip for me to be like, okay, that's cool. That's all I needed to hear. It's not me doing something wrong. I'm not like not doing enough. I'm not enough. Like it's not that kind of, you know, shadow kind of beliefs. So for me, I still have quite a small following, but I have a really, really loyal following. Like it's me and my friends that are like close besties, you know, and it's really cool. It feels really safe, my profile. And yeah, I feel okay with not going through the being the, you know, going viral situation, but now kind of using that as leverage for other things like collaborations and partnerships, and I'm sure we'll get into it. But yeah, so that's kind of my story on how that social media stagnancy kind of evolved.
Love this. Thank you for sharing like your experience and your journey there, because I think that this will resonate with so many people who are listening. And as you know, like I would say that visibility is probably one of the bigger things that I would say comes up in a lot of the work that I do. And I was asked actually when Tom and I did my 300th podcast episode, he asked me a question and he said, how do you know that someone isn't like living in their design or is like, you know, ignoring their design, or a question like that? And my response was like, there is typically one thing that someone has experienced like forever that has just always been a topic. Like it's just always been a thing they've found really challenging. A lot of the time it's visibility. Other times it's like the way they articulate their work and like the confidence to actually speak about that powerfully. It's all different, but typically a lot of the time it's visibility. And I've never had a client who has bought that to me and then not pulled up their chart and there been something in there around like, maybe you're not actually designed to be visible in the same way that everyone else is visible. And actually, like one of the things that I see really shifting in the future of online business and the future of business in general is like visibility reimagined, like people realizing and giving themselves permission. Like I've been told this story, you know, sold this like version of visibility that is like post 3 times a week on social media and like make sure that you're like moving through your visibility blocks and like trying to reach as many people. And I just think there is a lot of people where that's actually not the way they're designed to be visible. It doesn't feel exciting for them. And then you spend all of this energy trying to fix something that is innate and organic that we then used to do like all this other cool shit in your business, like partnerships and referrals, and like really build this structure around what was already working. So I really love that you named that, because that was never going to change. No matter how much visibility work that you did, it is significant to be like a Sun, Mercury, North Node in the 12th house, you know, like it is the house of like seclusion and privacy and like giving yourself space for contemplation and, you know, removing yourself like from the energy of the collective and the projection field sometimes, you know? And so I love that you've named that, because I think a lot of people experience a lot of blocks around that, but they're forcing themselves into the definition of visibility that is just not for them.
Yeah. And then it's not authentic. Like there was moments I remember very early on in my you know, social media business, trying to grow it, and I literally was using a cookie cut formula, and I look back at that videos and I'm like, this poor, like, I feel for her. I'm like, this poor girl, like, she is showing up, trying to say these words that like they tell you to say. It's just, I'm stuttering because it's not my voice. It's not coming from me. And it's just that makes me actually more cringe than me sharing this vulnerably and being like, that's me speaking my truth. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a different thing. And yeah, I feel like when people can actually just look into their chart and look at how they are, how the energy does play out for them, it's such a relief and empowerment to be like, oh, okay, cool, I'm going to do something differently. In fact, that's, you know, I also had a podcast last year and that did quite well over my posts, of course, because me being ruled by Mercury, I love a chat. I can have a yap the whole time. And like that's just how I like to operate. You know, it was these little things that came into fruition that I was like, okay, now the me and the cosmos are like aligned. We can work with this.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you said that because I feel the same way about like my early years as well, and just like how much I was online and how much I was creating, and realizing like I'm like realizing how depleted, like soul depletion, like I can work. I've got, I mean, as you know, I've got a shit
Yeah.
ton of doing energy in my chart, like Capricorn rising, lot of definition in my human design as well, but like was so depleted. And it wasn't because I was like overworking in a way, like in a sense, it was that I was working in a way that was just not, I'm not designed to have that, you know, like I,
Yeah.
past moon and like being in the a fifth line and the projection field, all these kinds of things. And like, I love that you shared that it was like, you kind of look back and you have that moment of like, oh, I feel for her that she feels like she has
Yeah.
to do that, because I feel the exact same way. When I look back, I'm like, damn, I was not doing things the
Yeah.
jazz way.
No. And it takes a while to come to that terms. And
Yeah.
I think with the work that you do is so powerful because it's not like you don't give people a formula and be like, copy this exact way. It's like, these are a couple ways, take what resonates, leave the rest kind of thing. And that's such a empowered place to be in. And like, you build authority. Like I've finally, I mean, I'm in it now for 6 years, finally feel the last year that I'm like in my leadership. Like, you know, when people talk about leadership and stuff, I was like, yeah, cool. I'll try and embody this. But like, no, I get it now because I know when I am in a season of launch and season of rest, and like that leadership's just getting like greater and greater because I'm authentically being her, you know, following everyone. So I love that. Yeah, I feel like we can all resonate with that little girl, that little boy of like, yeah, trying to do the thing and then not it sticking.
Yeah. And I think like, and this brings me to like the next thing that I wanted to chat to you about around, I think what can happen, like, you know, so you know when you're like driving a car and like you've got the GPS on and it's telling you where to turn, and then but you turn the music down to like see better.
Yes,
You
yes,
know, like
yes.
we all do it, and it's so crazy. It makes no sense, but it's like, let me
No
just
sense.
turn this down so I can see better. But like I feel that way about like the work that I do, that it's like so many, like it's the GPS is always there. Like for clients, like the
Yeah.
strategy and like the way to do something is like, it's not this other thing that I'm like inventing and bringing in. It's like,
Yeah.
no, the GPS is there. We just needed to turn down the
Yeah, the
volume of like,
noise.
I should do this and I should do that and I got to do it like everyone else. And like we find that. And I think for you, that recalibration of the GPS was like, I think what became really clear is like everything you just named around the leadership aspect and like what you are truly here to offer. Like you don't
Mm.
reincarnate with that Libra energy to like not prioritize partnerships and
No.
collaborations and balance. And like, it just doesn't, you know, like, and I think
Yeah.
that really allowed you to then start to identify like, well, when I actually look at what's working for me and how things have organically, without even
Yes.
trying, always happened, it's been referrals, relationships, partnerships. And
Yeah.
that then meant that we could take all of that energy that was being spent on like, I need to post on socials, I need to do this thing. We could apply that to like, well, let's just create a structure around the referrals a little bit more. Or
Yeah.
let's just like really go all in on the partnership side of things. So tell us what
Mm.
shifted in relation to that, because you crushed it in terms of
Huge.
like your one-on-one work and creating your membership and just having the space to do that, because all of a sudden like this space and energy was freed up to focus on your
Yeah.
zone of genius.
It was huge. Like when I say catalyst, generally, still to this day, Jazz, like I have not like done marketing for my one-on-one, and I still am just getting. I'm still fully booked, which is insane to say, considering it's like a high ticket. And look, it's getting to a point now. I'm like, do I need a VA? Because this is a lot of work. But it's a great place to be, finally,
Good problem to have. Good
Yeah,
problem
such
to
a good,
have. Yeah.
such a,
Yeah.
like, the 6 years before, like, that's where I wanted to be,
And you posted the
So,
least on socials as well at the same time, right? Like
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
the least amount yeah, that's so cool.
I actually don't think I have at all spoken about one-on-one support, and like in 2026, like this new year, like it's just because A, I'm just very busy with my one-on-one support, and B, it's just like new incoming, intake
You
forms
don't need to.
happening. No, I
You
don't
don't
need
need
to.
to.
I don't need to. I
Yeah.
do want to work on my like case study situation, and you've given me an idea of doing like a form for that. So thanks for that.
Love it. You're welcome.
So yeah, so it's just sort of that thing of again, right, referrals tick, but also to next in terms of, okay, when you have offboarding these people, what now? Like, can they do a testimonial for you? Can they refer you and get some sort of discount? Like, how can I kind of build, because relationships and collaboration and like community is a huge part of my life, and it's been since I was a little girl. Like, it's, I'm one of those weird people that like have friendships groups that are so broad, like so broad. And so it bleeds into your business, of course, because that's just how I operate. And so, yeah, so like now, okay, so referrals are constant, which is great. And also like the conversion is like 80% because I've kind of hit the nail with, the skill sets and what they need. And really, because I started as a VA, now I am a project manager, it is, incorporating that system implementation, but also how to build the blocks, how to actually, the systems that you want to operate still want to work in 3 years' time. Because there was a period where I just couldn't, I was doing all this work and I'm like, but now we're changing it all again. And like, I don't feel like I'm integral with your work, because you're paying me, but is there longevity in this? Sorry, I'm going a bit off track with
No,
the partnership stuff and now my project
Love
management brain. But really, this is just like how I think that referrals have kept coming up, and people have referred me, is because it's being integral with what I say I'm going to do, and then also making sure that people are having businesses that evolve with them. Other than that, which is excellent. Yeah, I also then go into partnership with a membership that is predominantly about the energetics and building a business, as well as how to realize recognition and like realize how to build these blocks in your business. It's a huge thing. And even with that, our first launch, we got like over 40 people putting members. Now they are free members, I have to say. So, it's easy to get them in. But still, it was
with the attention economy anyway. It's like, no, you might as well also treat free as paid. Like we do with like all the messaging. It's like, I'm not going to put any less effort into this just because this thing's free, because attention is hard to get,
It is, especially when people are loyal. And that's what I'm saying about like my small following. It's like they're loyal because I give them space and time. And so they've transitioned into another platform that they have to join. But this is where I'm like, this is such a huge moment to have people want to go somewhere else when we're already in, we're talking about this noise. Like, there's a lot of apps, there's a lot of things happening. And so I'm very, very grateful that like that kind of support has come through. Yeah. And so with this membership, it's just growing further and becoming deeper and more richer with, the intensity and intimacy that we're creating. And I couldn't do that without you literally reflecting to me, hey, Ané, I think collaboration's your thing. I think partnerships, your marketing strategy.
Venus is in your Libra Venus. Like, why are we not doing more of this? Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And I think I love what you shared as well about like, I really love what you shared around the referrals and the testimonials and that kind of thing too. Is like, I would say that like so many, and I think we've had this conversation already, like so many people who step into like working with me are putting a lot of pressure on themselves with like visibility and social media and things like that. And when you really actually unpack things and you think about that, and you think about the fact that building an email list, building, Substack, Instagram, whatever the platform is, podcast, YouTube, it is always a long-term game. It is never, ever been the fastest way to get clients, ever. I don't care what anyone says. Like, it's just never been the fastest way to do that, And when you couple this with the fact that when we really looked at your business and what your business needed, like there was already all of that evidence that like referrals and partnerships and collaborations had already been started working. But most of the time
Yeah.
we're not asking for those testimonials. We're not doing those case studies. We're not putting in some kind of referral arrangement because like everyone else is doing it in a different way. And it's like the moment you start just putting a little bit of structure around that, like it just, of course it blew up. Like, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like that last little like puzzle piece, you know, that like you didn't think it was going to fit firstly in that piece, and then it does, and you're like, what? Like it's sort of that like it's not about doing more or being more or like, you know, and even it really business does show you that delayed gratification of like, okay, you're going to do the things, it's going to be difficult. And I was okay with that. I made peace with that because that is just life. Like this whole 10-year, overnight success is absolute BS. We know this. And that's cool. And we all have that. But now we've kind of like swung the other way and become so like slaved in our business. And what you really have highlighted is like you look at it and you're like, scrap this, scrap that, don't even think about this, just work on the energetics on like how you want to get partnerships and, you know, the puzzle piece on this, and just put these 3 things in. And it was really, and for a manager like me doing, I love other projects and I've got other things in my life, that's like music to my ears. I love that stuff because it's just simplifying, but there's still efficiency and like little movements that are happening. And so yeah, I absolutely, it was just like you reflecting to me those missing gaps. And I know a lot of people talk about the gaps that people have. Sure of the word now, it's lost my brain, Mercury retrograde things. But yeah, it's really been such a beautiful evolution of how much the hard work I've done is like, okay, now it's all coming in, you know, together. It's like when you bake a cake, it's like all of a sudden it's like beautiful and you're like, whoa, how did that happen? So yeah.
I love that you named the energetics piece too, because I would say that like the biggest reason why people in my like decade of talking to like thousands of people is that like they often, once they may already know what they need to do, or we clarify that together, but then the biggest reason why they don't keep doing that is not a strategic conversation. It is like there is a part of them, right? Like same with you, there was a part of you that was like, but everyone else is posting on social media and like their businesses look like this over here and they're going viral and
Yeah.
this thing's happening. And so we needed to have a conversation with that part, but we also needed to open up a relationship with the part of you who was in her leadership and collaborating and like doing all that partnership work, because it's not a part of you that you had actually really been connecting with. And it's
Fully.
through that process that we actually start to like calibrate our leadership and nervous system to, well, that is possible for me. But if we just keep trying to like white knuckle it and just do it from that strategic perspective, like there are so
Yeah.
many parts that would have been like, no, Ané, we're not doing
Yeah.
this. Like, this is like, why have you not posted on social media for the past month? You know, and
Yeah.
if we don't open up that dialogue and help them feel safe through the process, we just self-sabotage, and there'll be like another thing that we add onto our plate to avoid doing the actual thing that will produce the
Totally.
results. If we were already safe, if we already felt safe to do the thing that we know we need to be doing, we would already be doing it.
Fully. Exactly. It's that whole expression of, you know, you're uncomfortable. No, I'm going to butcher it. I'm not even going to say it. I don't even remember. It's like something to do with like staying in your uncomfortable is better than like being in your comfortable hell is better than uncomfortable heaven. And it's sort of that
Yeah.
kind of thing. It's like we think, okay, this is a heavy, hard situation, but this is what it is because it's been like this for so long. So I'm going to stay here because I must be doing it right. It's like, no. You're just evolving, and that little person and like your evolution is changing a little, and you just got to pivot to who you're, that part of you that's who's in this driver's seat situation, you know? So totally. And this is exactly what you highlighted so prominently and so graciously to me. And yeah, it was like, okay, no, you know the strategy, you know the systems, you know all the funnel stuff. I do it as a job. Sit with yourself and work through why you think it needs to be more harder than it needs to be. Like you're actually doing the thing. You just need to tweak stuff. So yeah, it was a huge revelation. And it sounds easier than done, of course, but I think it's just for me, particularly, it's easier for me to constantly burn out than actually just like sitting with it and being like, oh, this is uncomfortable. Okay, I'm going to sit here for a minute. Oh, actually, now that stuff and this is actually, that's not an issue anymore. Like, it's so crazy how quickly it can shift.
Totally. And it's like, yeah, it's like even when we're doing more of the parts work, like in calls, I notice this with clients when it's like, okay, so literally the only thing that I want you to focus on between now and next week, like, is this conversation, like, is this parts work thing? And they almost look at me like,
That's
what,
it.
yeah, like, because it's like, we're so like, we should be doing all this strategic work. And it's like, it's funny,
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. And then we obviously go into that conversation, but I think you've highlighted like something really, I think that one of the repercussions and issues of like just how clickbaity things have become and like
Mm,
short-term focused is that like, yeah, there's like a lot of things that people are doing that don't actually move the needle. And so when
no.
it comes to creating a lot of the foundations that we need in a business in order to be successful, like testimonials and case studies and like building good relationships for referrals and
Yeah.
retention, like having email marketing, which I know that you stepped into, a lot more as well. Like we don't want to do that because like everything that we are shown is like
Yeah.
this viral hook and like this is the one thing that's going to create the result. And so our nervous system is like not calibrated to the actual
Yeah.
foundation building, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it's really about like unlearning all of that conditioning. It's like deconditioning with like social media. Social media is like quite a toxic place. Like I'm happy to
It
be the person that says that
is.
because it's just
Not
become
real.
such a
Not real.
performative, exactly. It's such a performative place. And we all get stuck in this like, okay, I need to do this and stuff. And so I think one of the main things is this like having social media breaks. Like honestly, I have a social media break at least every quarter. Might be a week, might be 3 weeks, might be a couple of days. And it's one of the best things that I would recommend people do, especially if you have a business, because also that whole, mindset of like, oh, well, if I'm not online, I'm not going to make money. And no. It's like, no, you can.
And
One
that's
of the
good
things,
if that comes
yeah,
up, right? Because then you're like, why
totally,
is that the case in your business? Like, what are the
totally.
other, like, like if that's
Yes,
how you feel, like that's the work, right? Like, I
that's
love
the
that you named
work.
that.
Yeah. And that's also like when I sat with that, my email marketing is like, I get like 40% open rates, like easily.
Mm,
And like, which is insane, like really, for starting out anyways. I know that
yeah.
it can grow and
Yeah.
it will,
Right.
but
No, it's
yeah,
amazing.
so it's just like these things. I'm like making space of, okay, I'm not going to be here, but then people can come in this space. And it just brings back the conversation back of like bringing the energetics and the strategy and the systems together, and we both
Mm,
clicked on like how to build those seasonal spaces in your business, because as women particularly, we are cyclical. So we really need to honor
yeah.
that and make our business work, build the ecosystem that our business can hold that.
Amazing. Oh, I love this. This has been like such a good conversation. It's so funny to me that like typically I attract like a lot of people that have that either like they're in the projection field, like they're at line 2 or a line
Right.
5, or they've got like the 12th house, energy, or like I had a client that joined CCBD this week that literally said similar sort of things, like real sort of stuff around visibility. And she's a Scorpio rising. And so her
Yeah,
two
right.
chart rulers, Pluto and Mars, 8th house and 12th house. And I was like,
Crazy.
right? It's like same thing. It's like all these conversations of like, yeah, the visibility stuff. It's like you're actually not meant to be. It's just not meant
Yeah.
to look this way for you. Like, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden, like, there's so many other like. It's like, yeah, it's like we turn down the music and the GPS recalibrates. So this
We
has
love
just
it.
been so good,
Oh, it's
so
honestly
good.
been such a journey with you, and it's been just something that keeps evolving. And Jazz, like I know that you've had your fair share of huge upgrades and then huge like,
Crash.
intense crashes and breakdowns. And I think it just is a testament to how much you are an embodiment of how most females want to run businesses. Not only do you live on the other side of the world, but you also like have a family and you've got so many beautiful things in your life. And it's like your business not your everything, but it is a huge part of who you are. And you can still be there for other people. And it's just such a beautiful way of how you can support people through this time, because you've been there. You've been through it
Yeah,
all.
thank you for that reflection. Before we find out where we can hang out with you and where our
Yeah.
community can come and join the free membership and join your email list and do
Yeah.
all the things. I would love to first just get your reflection on if anyone is watching this and is considering stepping into constantly converting by design, what words of wisdom would you have for them? Would you have any reflections for them?
Oh my gosh, where do I start? I want this video to keep going for another 30 minutes, so I'll keep it short and sweet. Really, at the core and crux of it all with CCBD was about building that leadership and being okay and showing up differently, knowing that you have a business that is fully on your side and supporting you through it all. I think it was like the foundation of yourself and like the foundation of that energetics with the foundation of having a business, because that's kind of what CCBD, really incorporates, is those both elements. And so, yeah, I've done a lot of business mentorships. I've had one-on-one. I've had many, many business courses and stuff, but this one by far has been one that has not only given me return of investment, mind you, with my one-on-one, but it's also just given me a real sense of like empowerment and embodiment of who I am, and can show up how I want it. And it's not wrong. It's not, different. It's perfect the way it needs to be. And now like I'm getting reflections of that. So that's the main goal, the main story of that all.
Thank you for that reflection. That's could not ask for anything more, really. So I love that so much for you. It's been such a
You're welcome.
pleasure to like witness your growth and commitment. I always say it's always a two-way conversation. Like I
Yeah.
can always share the reflections and I can always, say this is my perspective and this is, what my next step would be. And this is, a reflection of your chart or whatever it might be. But like you have to be willing to like walk through the fire sometimes,
Yeah.
and be willing to like meet yourself there. And like you just did that so, so beautifully. So of course you got the results, of course you have, stepped into your leadership. So it's also like so much a credit to like all the work that you've done. Yeah, it's
Thanks,
been such a
beautiful.
pleasure. But tell us more about where people can come and connect with you. I feel like the membership was really birthed from that like new leadership energy as well, which I think is
Fully.
just like, I always love that. Not all clients like will create new things when we work together,
Yeah.
but it's always really special when I feel like there's been this really big, transformation and experience and something does get birthed from that. Like my
Yeah.
Cancerian is like, I love this. So tell us about
Like
that.
I created my little home, and another
Yes.
like a Cancerian can be like, oh, here's your home. It's
Yes,
beautiful.
exactly.
I love
Exactly.
that. Yeah. So the Quantum Quadrant is really the membership that is all of these elements in one space: business, embodiment, work, energetics. Yeah, there's definitely more that I'm just missing now. Leadership work, all of these
Structure,
things, structure,
and
systemization.
yeah.
Yeah, all of these, like how to really build that funnels and let it convert, and also like make sure that there's that ecosystem that you can have along the way of your leadership that you're coming through. And isn't this how business owners work? Like you go through the fire and then something comes, you're like the phoenix, and you're like, oh, I've got this amazing container because I've been through it. So it's sort of, and I'm with my business partner Adelina, and she's an incredible projector. So that manager and projector, we just have synergy, and she's really that guide where I'm like that implementer, and I bring the energy to the space. So you guys can find us at Quantum Quadrant, and it will be on my bio. And yeah, and then the Business Fairy is my Instagram handle, where it's a lot more spiritual now. If you look back at 2 years ago, it was very systems and strategy, but yeah, I'm in that process now of bringing both together. So you guys can find me here. I would love to connect with anyone that is that would like to say hi, and would like to chat about anything in between. Yeah.
Love that. Love that. My Sag Moon appreciates your Sag Moon. I
Yes.
love this. So
Yes,
good.
absolutely.
Thank you for
Thanks,
being
guys.
here. It's been so
Thank
good.
you. It's been amazing.